The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. And it's another episode of the Sandy and Toddcast. This is Season 2, Episode 11, Exploring Your Intuitive Side with Sudie Crouch. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight and actually learn something as well.
Sudie is amazing, Todd. I just love her. And this intuitive session, everybody should be doing, whether or not you actually think you're intuitive. I think everybody has the gift. It's just a matter of unlocking it and being willing to explore it a little bit. And Sudie definitely did not disappoint.
We're going to dig into that next. It's the Sandy and Toddcast. Stand by.
Feeling a bit lost? Not sure what's holding you back? A transformational tarot session with eclecticpath wellness can provide the guidance you need, combining tarot and coaching to help you understand and navigate the changes you may face. Heal, empower, and clarify your path. Connect with us on Facebook at Eclectic Path Wellness.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day, all while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Another audio cast of the Sandy and Toddcast. How are you?
Todd, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Another day, another dollar. Yay.
Yeah, that we spend to put the whole thing. You're right.
Another poorhouse that we're going into. No, I'm just kidding. I love this. Anyways, we have a really cool episode today. And Sudie Crouch, one of our amazing intuitives, sat down with all of us during one of our live casts and gave us an intuitive session. Now, a lot of people don't realize how valuable this is monetarily, too, because these things can cost a lot of money. And Sudie was with us for an entire hour teaching us how to be intuitive and open up our intuitive selves.
So if you are listening to this, I would suggest that when the time comes to do the little interaction, the little workshop, if you will, that you take some time to do it. Find a little spot to go to where you can kind of be by yourself and tune into that and see what you can actually figure out. You know, what comes to you, what channels its way to you, and see how close you are to knowing the item that she is thinking about at the time. I was very surprised. In our group, we had quite a few people who were doing pretty well with it.
I know. It was weird because I don't think everybody has confidence in themselves when it comes to this stuff. And you really should, because we kind of are all intuitive in our own way. Maybe not all exactly the same, but we're all intuitive in our own way. And this was a great way to sort of unlock that a little bit. And while we're talking about it, before we go into the Sudie episode, I just wanted to mention that this Wednesday, we have another Woo Woo Wednesday live cast on our Facebook page, the Sandy and Toddcast, with another intuitive workshop with Sudie Crouch. So 8 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday night, you're definitely going to want to check this out.
And if for some reason you can't make it, you can always watch the video again. All of our videos, all of our episodes, you can find them on Facebook. The audio cast you can find on all of the places that you find your typical podcasts. And I would suggest, just so that you are up to speed on what the Sandy and Toddcast is all about, that you go ahead and you listen to every single one. Not once, not twice, but 20 times.
Todd, so many people have said to me, and I'm not kidding here, have said to me, I just binge listened to your podcast, season 1 and as much of season 2 as you guys are up to, or I just watched all of your live casts. Like, a lot of people say that to me, and I think that's pretty cool. It makes me feel good to know that they're sort of binge checking us out, if that makes sense. That's pretty cool.
Well, hopefully we catch them when we're doing our thing and they want to see more. So, and we had a great episode. Who was on this past week with us? She was absolutely incredible.
It was Holly Hughes, the Intuit. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
She will be on a future audio cast. We taped that session as well, and she will be joining us in a future audio cast. You guys aren't going to want to miss this. This woman is absolutely amazing. I was still recovering from it 2 days later with all the stuff that she told me personally.
So let me ask you something. I'm going to put you on the spot. So you're going to an investigation that involves a jailhouse.
Yeah.
And this has been planned for quite some time. We've talked about it on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And you never mentioned that to her.
No.
And she said to you, don't go into the jail.
And both of our faces, it was precious. I wish I could screenshot our faces when she said that, because really, nobody knows. And even though I mentioned it briefly in passing, maybe on a podcast or a live cast, I never got into much detail because it was so up in the air for the longest time,
right,
that it hasn't even been announced yet. And yet she told me these things, and it freaked me out. I will say that.
So the question is, are you going to listen to her, or are you still going to go?
I'm going to go because it is a fundraiser, and it is important to me to go. It is a place that's always been on my bucket list. So,
is anyone surprised by that answer? Anyone in the classroom surprised by that answer? Anyone?
I am going to go, but I am thankful for what she said, because even though I have ideas of who I'll be dealing with, I still have to be really ready, prepared, on my game, my A game, for this investigation. So right. I will be as prepared as one can be for something like that. I promise.
Okay.
All right.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad. I know you really love me. I know you care about me.
Not really, but I'll say I support you 100%.
Yes. Whatever. I'll have to listen to it off the audio as well as we get closer to it. But luckily, it's not till October. There was one thing, though, I wanted to kind of talk about today, Todd, and that is the idea of empaths. Now, a lot of people, you and I are empaths. You and I are very strong empaths. And I hear different, I've come across different groups of people over the past several months in the paranormal woo-woo community who are truly very strong empaths. There are some people who don't believe in it at all. And then there are some people who believe that because they have empathy for others, they are empaths.
Right.
And I think it's super important. I just experienced something a few nights ago that made me stop and think. I think it's important to differentiate between having empathy for someone or something and being a true empath. Being an empath is not really a game. It's not a party game. It's not fun most of the time, unless you're able to harness that. And it's like a psychic ability, just like any other psychic ability. And unless you're able to manage it and harness it, it can be very, very difficult. And you have to kind of maneuver in your life around obstacles. And those obstacles are emotions, energy, feelings, that type of thing. And I don't mean to downplay having empathy for others, because I think that's so important in life. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're an empath. And I think it's important. I love animals, and I have a need to help charitable organizations of all types, but that in and of itself does not make me an empath. True empaths are people who are very, very affected by the energies that are thrown at them. And I say thrown at them because they are thrown at you. And you have to, it is your responsibility to learn how to manage it and sort of block it and keep it at arm's length unless you personally want to deal with it. There are a lot of counselors and psychiatrists who are empaths, and that's one of the reasons why, but they learn how to manage it. And I speak to the people who are not empaths, who have to really understand that if they know that someone is an empath, they should have enough respect for that person to maybe not impose their energy constantly on others.
You and I have not discussed this yet, so this is the first time we're bringing it up. And I'm just going to throw this out there and tell you right now that is a wish that will never come true, because
I know
those people are the ones who will abuse the situation. And that is true. Why, and Holly even said it the other night, that's why I'm completely closed off to stuff, because I can get drained very easily by people's, for lack of better terms, shit. And so I don't do it anymore. Fuck yeah. You know?
Right. And it's not so much that we don't care, because it's actually that we care too much. And that's why we do block it. Because there have been many times in my life where I felt other people's emotional and even physical pain. And I care about that person, but I need to remember as an empath that I need to take care of myself. You need to let go of
it. What you got to do is not let it stay in your heart chakra. You can't hold on to it as your issue. You can listen to it, you can care about it, and you can try to help by giving advice and all that kind of stuff. But then you have to release it. And I think that's probably the two things that I've learned most, is to block the people that I know who are vampires. Doesn't mean I block them out of my life. I just don't take the bait anymore. And then once that has come to me, once I have gotten those emotions and those feelings, and maybe I've had some reaction to it, then I've got to let go of it. I can't hang on to it. It can't be mine anymore. It is that person's energy and emotions and their life path. It's not mine. Yeah.
This shit is real. Like, this isn't a game. When you live like this, and I'm not an expert at blocking this yet. I might be really good at it someday, but it's hit or miss for me. I try really hard to block it, but I can't always, especially when I'm not expecting it and I don't see it coming, and all of a sudden it's in my face. And it can really make you physically ill, emotionally ill, mentally ill, to deal with that kind of thing. And I'm glad you brought up energy vampires, because before we get into Sudie, I just want to mention they are real. Energy vampires are real. If you go into our group and join our group, the Stay Weirdos Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, this morning I put up an amazing article about energy vampires. And if you read it, there are 7 different ways to tell if you yourself are an energy vampire. And boy, oh boy, does it hit home for some people that I know. And it hopefully will make somebody more aware of what they do to other people. And I don't mean to sound so negative, but this is sort of a heavy topic, because you're messing with other people's lives when you know that this happens to them and you still continue to do it to them.
Right. But they get that energy from us. They drain us of energy, and then they feel better. And so they need that, because they don't know how to do it themselves.
Yeah. So the important thing is, I'm learning this, make your boundaries. Set your
Back away from
boundaries.
Her. Don't go anywhere near her. You'll have to get by me first.
Yes. Set your boundaries. It's so super important as an empath to set your boundaries and don't give in to
One more thing too regarding our group, the Stay Weirdos. No bullshit. Like, if you pull some stuff, if you act out and you do something mean to somebody else in our group, you are gone. Period. Yeah. I don't care what it is. You're gone.
This ain't baseball. There's no 3 strikes here. Listen, 1 strike, you're out.
Listen, and that doesn't mean you can't give somebody a little shit, a little ribbing, a little ha-ha, that kind of stuff. We do that all the time, and that's what we want that in there.
That's fun.
But when it's personal and it's real, you are gone. And we've had to throw some people out because of that. So
judgment-free zone.
Absolutely. If you're in our group, you are safe. And if you ever experience anything like that, if you experience somebody bullying or being nasty or being stupid to you, we want to know they will be gone.
Gone. Oh, that was really bad.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Okay, I won't.
That just broke an eardrum. All right, we're going to move on. Yeah?
Yeah. Just wanted to mention that. Didn't mean to be a downer, but it's a serious topic. It really, truly is. Now let's go on to Sudie and learn all about our intuitive selves.
This is a very cool workshop, Exploring Your Intuitive Side with Sudie Crouch. It's Season 2, Episode 11 of the Sandy and Toddcast. Our good friend Sudie Crouch is in the house. Sudie Crouch in the hizzle. I
know, I was waiting for you to say it like really in the house.
Well, I say let's not wait anymore. Let's bring her on. What do you say?
Let's do it.
So it's Intuitive Night. It's Woo Woo Wednesday. One of our favorite intuitives, our good friend Sudie Crouch. Hey, Sudie.
Hey, everybody. Good evening.
Hi, Sudie.
How are y'all?
You can tell she's in rural. She's in rural Georgia because the video's like this.
It's true. And it's, how hot is it, Sudie? You were telling us before we went live.
Well, it's like, I think it was 90-something yesterday, and I don't know how hot it is today. I have not left the air conditioning. That's how hot it is.
That's what you do. When you're in the South, unless you really have an affinity for that, you pretty much live in the air conditioning all the time. Yeah, definitely.
So I do have a question regarding that because I'm asked a lot to pick up and move back down south. I lived down south for a few years, and it was absolutely horrendous. I hated it, every minute of it, and the heat was absolutely ridiculous. There's no way. Why do you put up with it? I guess it's the same reason why we put up with cold and snow up here.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't know. Honestly, I keep thinking if I could move my mom and my uncle. And the only reason I think my uncle won't move is because he rescues like every stray cat, and then like some of the neighbors' cats that are, have owners, but he still takes and gets those vetted. And moving cats, if you've never moved with a bunch of cats before, it is traumatic, more so for us than it is for cats. And every time I say something like, let's move to North Dakota, he's like, I have cats. And I'm like, I will put them in the carrier. He's like, I have cats. And I'm like, I know you do. I'm going to inherit a whole bunch of feral cats one day. We can move on. So that's the only thing.
It is. We have 3 cats, and when we get ready to move to Georgia, I'm already thinking about it. It's not for a few years yet, but I'm already trying to think of how we're going to travel. I'm sure Spike will be fine. He traveled from he actually traveled from South Carolina when we adopted him last year, and he did fine. But the cats, I don't know. I'm a little concerned with the 3 cats, but they'll make it. They'll be fine. But I get you completely.
The money for me to move would have to be extremely good. Extremely good. Like where I am in my life as far as money would not cut it for me to go.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't happen.
I can understand that, considering, I've lived through a hurricane now, because when you move to the mountains of North Georgia, you think you're going to have snow. And in 2017, Hurricane Irma came through here. And I was like, we're in the mountains. We're not supposed to get a hurricane. We didn't have power for a week in September.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. Yikes. Where we are in New York, we don't really, if we get a hurricane, it's usually the very outer bands of a hurricane. It'll be something that comes up the coast and hits like Long Island and New York City and, the coast down there, and we'll get the upper bands. But we did get we get minimal damage, I'll put it that way. I don't think we've ever had anything from a hurricane that's been crazy, so.
That was our awkward pause of the night right there.
Yeah, no. What was
that?
What was that?
Well, we were waiting for you, Todd. We were waiting for you to say.
Yeah, I know. We were waiting for you to open your mouth.
This is what I was going to do. Let's roll into what we got to talk about tonight. Let's talk about the supermoon, because tonight is a full moon, and it's kind of a quote-unquote special one. Now, I have to say this. Like, growing up, nobody kept track of moons, at least not in my family. Nobody kept track of whether it was a new moon or a full moon or anything like that. And certainly never heard anything about super moons or pink moons or blue moons or, yellow, orange moons or whatever it is. So it to me, sometimes it's a little, from the outside, it seems like it's a little overdone. But what I realized when I really kind of opened myself up to understanding a little bit about the cycles of the moon, like my sleep cycle is very, very messed up during that full moon cycle. Like 2 days before the full moon and 2 days after, I cannot get any sleep. It's absolutely impossible. And even if the moon's not shining in my window, because sometimes it does, even if it's not I feel like it's shining in my window. You know, it's in my head.
Absolutely. That's something that really, I think people are noticing, especially the more they get awakened and enlightened. It may affect them more. I didn't notice it when I was younger because I was just like, man, I'm not sleeping well. And then I've started to pick up that it's the moon phases. New moons can be really bad. Full moons particularly can be really bad. Or I have noticed with this one, it doesn't matter what time I go to bed. I wake up and I feel like I am heavy, like it is trying to crawl out of something to wake up, and my eyes are heavy, and I just can't shake it off because it's like just a deep, deep sleep. And they can definitely affect us, but I mean, you've got to think about what the moon does to the ocean, and our body's 80% water. So of course those ebbs and flows are going to happen to us as well. There's always been the phenomenon working in the medical profession. When I was younger, you would see more upticks of like emergency room visits, injuries, people just having like sickness and having things happen. I've noticed that I will have like kind of an uncentralized anger. I know that sounds weird.
No, actually it doesn't.
But it's like just a buildup of energy. I felt that yesterday, like I was telling y'all earlier, when you wake up and it is so hot and you feel like you're drowning in hell because it's so hot and you have to go get an air conditioner. It made me unbridledly angry. I was just furious and I was wanting to stab somebody and I was like, why am I this angry? I was trying to process it and I was like, it has to be the energy of this full moon, because it's not just the full moon, but sometimes too, when you're an empath, you're picking up some of the collective energy again, like we've talked about before, and everything's kind of coming up to the surface. So I think that might be some of it too.
We were Sandy and I, as we mentioned earlier, got together today to do some recording, and she mentioned to me that she's just been out of it like the last week.
Yeah,
and
it's been weird.
So I'm sitting here listening to her talking about, well, I'm out of it. I don't, it's not depression, but I just don't feel right, and blah, 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 blah. And the entire time I'm rolling my eyes in my head. I'm not doing it so she can see me. I'm just doing it, in my head, because the truth of the matter is, I believe what you were going through was the fact that you and I have not seen one another since last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I've been going through some health situations, and I think, I don't know if you've been picking up on that. That's a possibility too, but I've been having extreme exhaustion where I have to take like 2 or 3 naps every day, or I just can't make it through. And you said that you've been exhausted too.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I never thought about that, but I do pick up on you all the time.
Of course.
And the fact that you have been going through some health issues probably has an awful lot to do with it, because it's not depression. I know it's not depression. So it might very well be that I'm picking up on your energy, and I have been for the past week.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as we got on today on the video together, I felt better. How wild is that? I actually felt better as soon as we got on.
This face
I knew
was
it was
like
coming.
the magic of the Lord.
It's
the magic of the Lord.
That's all I could come up with that fast. I'm not always funny, but
I thought he was being mean, saying he was rolling his eyes in his head. That's why I was like,
Yeah, I was like, what? You didn't tell me that. I'm like, you didn't make fun of me all afternoon.
because I knew you were having a hard time, and I didn't have the energy
been.
to. I'm a little lax on the energy to give you.
It's pretty amazing how we do pick up on each other. So we could actually be feeding each other and just not even realize
there might be a
So,
psychic
interesting.
cord between the two of y'all too. Especially if you
Yeah.
worked. And Todd, I don't know if you remember this, but this is something that came to mind when I first met Sandy. Remember years and years and years ago when you stayed at the hotel for that ghost thing? It was the hotel where The Shining was filmed.
Shining, yep.
And you had a reading with a psychic, and she told you there was a girl in your life, and she said it's not a romantic interest, and they said petite girl, and she's like talking to you, and I'm seeing you, and she was saying whatever she was saying, you were just sitting there kind of like rolling your eyes and nodding your head, and she said it's a past life sister, and she's it was like a picking energy to where it was like more of a sibling energy. And you said, oh my God, I know who it is. And he tells me, you have haunted me for lifetimes and I can't get rid of you. This is
here's what's scary to me. If people look at this picture right now, all three of us here, I apparently have known these people much longer than just the past, several months with Sandy and the past several years with Sudie. And all I can say is no wonder I feel like shit.
I was waiting for that, but it's probably it's more than likely true. It's more than likely true.
See the gray here?
Yes.
And the gray here?
But
yeah, whatever.
I think Sandy was the sister, that energy that has carried with you.
I do believe that we are tied. I really, truly believe that. Here we go. But he believes it too.
The exhaustion just takes over my body at that point. Like I just want to take a quick nap to re-energize. So with the supermoon tonight, is there anything we can do to manifest, to move our energies forward in life?
Yeah.
The life that we know.
Yes. In fact, I pulled a couple of cards while I was off screen about what this energy was. And it's the Four of Wands, which is a celebration. And I'm making sure, and the Tower. This is so symbolic of what this energy is about. This is a supermoon, so it's closer to the earth. That's what it means. And it's also an eclipse. And it's the flower moon. So it's kind of looking pink in some areas. I don't know if we see the pinkness here in Northern America. It may be more in Australia. But this is very fitting because there's going to be a celebration, but something's got to be torn. I can't tell if I'm showing which one. Here I go doing my card.
Here we go again.
But something has to kind of come down. Something's going to be torn down. And that's kind of what this energy is about. And I honestly used to hate the Tower card more than anything. Because usually when I would pull it, it would be one of those, oh crap moments. What's going to blow up now? But then you realize for something new to come in, something has got to be removed first. And that's kind of what this whole energy is about. There's big changes with this moon. It's in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. So it's going to be a fast acting energy. When I was also thinking like, what kind of crystal would resonate with this energy? And I got carnelian, like those little red, they were like a red orange, kind of a gummy looking stone. That stood out to me. But this, particularly with the eclipse, we're going to have things that are coming out of that darkness into the light. There's going to be transformation. There's going to be, I was meditating on it earlier and thinking about all the things. There's just a lot of energy that's going to be shaken up and things that are going to be changing. And it's going to be quick. Full moons are an important time for releasing things too. They're great for manifesting, but before, what's really particularly important with a full moon, before you manifest, you want to release whatever you're carrying with you from this moon cycle particularly. I have seen things saying that this eclipse is going all the way back to like 2002, things that have been happening astrologically at that time, and I have something in my eye back then that are coming to a head now. So we're having to kind of release all these things that are no longer serving us. One thing, too, that you were mentioning about feeling the energy being kind of stagnant and just feeling like you were being dragged down. We're also on the cusp of Mercury retrograde. So that's going to be happening in like 3 days. And we're in the shadow period. So that might be, too, what's affecting your energy and making you just feel that slowing down and just feeling. We haven't had a lot of retrogrades this year. In fact, it's been kind of like, I think it was like a 9 or 10 week period, maybe longer than that, where nothing was retrograde. And things weren't really moving quite the way we thought they would move, because sometimes in order for things to go forward, it's kind of like when you're shooting a bow and arrow, you have to pull it back in order for it to move forward. And that ties into our Sagittarius energy as well. But there's going to be a lot of things changed and released with this eclipse and with this full moon.
Interesting. And to back that up, a lot of meditations that I've done in the recent days talk about how when you're manifesting, in order for that good stuff to come to you, you have to push away the crap, basically. So, and I think, did you post this or did I post it earlier today about empaths or something like that on our Facebook page? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
The boundaries?
Yeah, the boundaries.
Boundaries, yeah.
Like, you take on so much stuff because you're trying to build for yourself and for the future and all this, but maybe all the stuff you're using to build isn't the right stuff to build with.
Yeah.
And so in order to find the right things to help you build what you want, some of this stuff has to go away first. Otherwise, there's no time to bring in the new stuff. So it makes a lot of sense with this moon.
Yeah, it sure does. Like I said, I'm going through that to some extent right now. I'm used to taking on a lot of different things. And one of the steps in what you posted today was that you should be very careful, essentially, about what you take on that's new because it may stand in your way of what you are building for.
Right.
And that also can work in other ways, too, of releasing the things that may not work for you in order to take on new things that will work for you and do work towards that common goal of your future. So it makes a lot of sense.
And those boundaries are so important, especially when you're manifesting, because when you say no sometimes to something, you're allowing something that you can say yes to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who had posted that, but I love what they said about sometimes you're building something, and if it doesn't have the right things, you can make a pie out of like anything. You can put spam in a pie. You can put, all kinds of gross stuff and call it a pie, but it may not be the kind of pie you want. So when you're manifesting and when you're using boundaries, you're wanting to put the things in there you specifically want. And that's kind of what this supermoon energy is drawing in for us and why it's important. That's why we're going to do the release later. Because once you clear that stuff out, you're saying, this is what I don't want. Because if you don't let that go, then as you're trying to manifest, that stuff's weighing everything down that you're trying to bring with you. And you have to get real clear on how, like, just to say money. If you say, I want to manifest a bunch of money. Well, that might be a bunch of pennies. It might be a bunch of nickels. You have to be real specific about the things that you're wanting to manifest. And that's something too that we can even do later in another podcast. We can look at like methods of manifestation and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Yes, that would be great.
Sandy, write that down. Thank you.
I am.
Yeah, I'm going to have a hot flash because I told y'all I'm middle-aged. I'm fat and I live in the South.
You go ahead and do that. We'll watch you for just a moment.
We're fine. We're fine. We'll talk amongst ourselves. No, one point that I wanted to make.
We'll be like, are you seeing what she's doing right now? I think she's having a hot flash.
What's going on over there? But one thing I did want to mention too is that a lot of times people think and feel guilty for saying no to things. And one of the things that I've had to learn is saying no isn't necessarily an awful thing, because you are allowing something better or good to come in to take its place. So not everything that you say no to is necessarily a bad thing. And that's part of your boundaries, and that's part of learning how to set those boundaries and be more cognizant of what you're doing with your own life.
Exactly. And it's empowering sometimes when you say, no, I can't do that, because there's nothing worse than if you say, yes, I can, or I will do that. That hurts our spirit when we agree to something that we don't really want to do. And when we're not able to kind of like be authentic with ourselves. And if you're afraid that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings or maybe lose a friendship or something,
F them.
Is that really a friendship? If saying no, I used to joke and tell some friends that anytime they needed me to say no for them, I was like, that's my favorite word. I will say it. Just tell me.
Listen,
say no.
I love it.
I'm putting you in charge because I am the poster child for not being able to say no.
Me too.
I am the poster child, and every time I'll even put a disclaimer out there. Hey, holidays coming up. Please get all your stuff ready to me by blah, blah, blah. There, blah, blah. And then it'll be like, but can I please just, but I can't, but I need them. And I'll be like, that kind of thing.
It's hard. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. I'm in the middle of having to say no to something that I don't necessarily not want to do, but I just can't do it. And I'm aware of the fact that I can't do it. And if I take it on, my life will be 10 times more hectic and crazy. And I can't do it.
And don't nobody want that.
No.
Because a crazy Sandy is a crazy Sandy.
That's right. He knows. He's got it on the calendar.
It was funny. This month she asked me, I wonder if my period is coming. And I said, ironically, you're 2 days away. I nailed it right to the day.
Right.
Yeah, of course I was.
He was right, too. He was right. He keeps track for me.
I don't keep track. I just know. It. You get that gut feeling. It's like, oh, God, she's going to be, crazy and nuts for about 4 days.
Stick around. We'll be right back. In the meantime, here's something pretty cool to check out.
Tarot time. If you're listening to this podcast, the divine messages are definitely for you. Let's combine science and magic, shall we? Root cause analysis, business planning, counseling, and good old-fashioned intuitive tarot readings so we can improve your near future circumstances by addressing your present scenarios. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For more in-depth tarot consultations, please book your readings at positivetarotwisdom.com. Infinite love and blessings for everyone.
Now, let's get back to the episode.
Let's talk about psychic development exercises. That's something you're bringing to the table. It's really one of our first learning sessions here on the Sandy and Toddcast. So you be the professor tonight. You walk us through how these work, and we encourage the people viewing right now to be involved with it and play along and see what happens. We're going to.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I am really excited about this because this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing in my groups. Because like I've said before, I think everybody has got psychic gifts and abilities, but we just kind of shut them down for whatever reason. Like there may have been times when somebody was a child and something happened and they saw it, felt it was going to happen. And then when it did, they think they brought it on in some way. So they kind of shut those things down. So this is just an opportunity to try to start building those muscles back up because intuition is a muscle. And just like anything, you have to work with it over time. I can remember when I was young, like my mom would take, where is it? I've got my regular playing cards over here because these are the ones that I normally read with when I don't do tarot. She would take like a deck of cards like these. And she would sit there and she would hold a card up like this. And she would say, guess what it is? And she would say, start with the color, which of course, when you're a kid, you're like, well, okay, I'm amazing. I guess that when it's red or black. So I had a 50-50 chance, but I was like, oh my God, I am so psychic. And then she would say, start guessing the suit of the card. And so then I would start saying either spades or clubs or diamonds. And then she would say, no, focus even more. And so she would do that with me. And I don't know if it was because she was bored out of her mind or what, or she was really trying to teach me. But that was one of the ways I started developing my psychic muscles. And when we start trying to pick up on things, then it helps us to grow more aware and more in tune to our intuition without having to really try. That's when you're in a store and you're like, maybe I shouldn't get this because maybe it's, a bad hot dog or something. Although that hasn't ever happened to my mom. She's gotten food poisoning from more vending machine hot dogs than any normal person should have. But you can start picking up on just certain cues, like maybe I should turn down this road instead of the other one, and you might, miss traffic being backed up or something like that. So it's just a way that you can start tapping into those natural gifts. And one of the ways that I kind of try to focus it is I take items that are personal to me, so that way I've got kind of my imprint on them, and then I can kind of send that energy. And then I just ask everyone to start, we start with a few deep breaths and just close your eyes and clear your mind. And we'll kind of do that when we get started, and then focus on how those messages come to you. Because sometimes you might hear something, you might taste something, see it, hear it, feel it, might feel a sensation of like coolness or a breeze. There's different ways. And what I have found the times I have taught the classes, or they're not really classes, but they're exercises. But what I found is that there's really no wrong answer. Ooh, Katie! Katie's here. My friend.
Hi, Katie.
And she, I'm so excited she's here. I got distracted. See, I'm like a little squirrel. I'm like, my friend.
Well, that's it. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
That's it.
Thanks, Katie.
But one of the things I have found is that there's not really any wrong answers. It's basically just learning how spirit talks to you, how you get those messages, and how you can learn to piece them together. Because I have led one night where it was so funny, but the lady was like picking up and she said, I know this is the weirdest thing. And I said, well, say it. Whatever it is, say it, because I will tie it back in and tell you what you were picking up. And she said, I'm getting, and whatever the thing she named, it was where the item was sitting. She was picking up every single thing around it. And she said, and I am smelling chocolate.
Well, listen, if we're talking to you, that's a pretty much given.
That may be true.
All night,
there was a Dove bar in the box that I had forgotten about. And I was like, ooh.
That's great.
So, but there's always different ways that people can pick up those messages and that they can just start to listen to spirit. And then once they do, then they can tell, like if they're starting to hear something. One of the things is like, you might start hearing like a buzzing or a humming in your ear, and that's letting you know that you might be clairaudient. So you might pick up messages through audio and through hearing. You might start getting messages through the radio. When you're driving along. Yesterday, when I was having my fit and going to Home Depot and cussing because I was sweaty and hot and having to go buy an air conditioner, every song that I turned it on the radio was Send Me an Angel, Eddie Money saying something about I need a guardian angel, and then there was some other song, and I was like, okay, this is my angels telling me to calm down.
This one's going out for listener Sudie Crouch today. This is Calm the Hell Down.
Well, that would be a different one. He used to dedicate Witchy Woman to me, or Evil Woman.
Oh, that's right.
Evil
You got
Woman.
mad at me for that. You remember that?
I love that.
You got mad at me for that. Remember that?
Ooh.
I did it because I thought it was funny. She got mad. So I think we're going to invite our viewers and listeners to be along with us on this. And they can, if they'd like to, in the comments section, post what they're picking up. Again, no judgment here.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just see how we do. Because I'm going to do it and Sandy's going to do it.
I'm going to do it too.
We'd love to see
we could be completely wrong too.
And I can't.
So we don't know.
I'm trying to see how I can see the messages, because I saw Katie, but I don't know if I'm seeing everybody.
No, Todd's putting them up on.
So what I'll do is once we do the thing and we kind of get at the point where people have put in their answers or put in their thoughts, I will put them up on the screen. We'll say them out loud so you know what it is. Okay.
Okay. And now I just want y'all all to just take 3 breaths. Just close your eyes and clear your mind so that you can be open, allowing, and receiving of all the messages that Spirit may have for you and how they can come in. And just take those deep breaths in through your nose, hold it for a count of 3, and then release it, clearing your mind and seeing the holy white light come over you to kind of cleanse you and to prepare you to receive these messages. Take another deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a count of 3, and then release it. And now take a final deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a count of 3, and then release it. As you're preparing to receive the messages, remember there are no wrong messages. This is all about learning how Spirit communicates with you. And I want you to focus on an item that I have. I want you to focus on what you hear. Do you hear anything in particular? What is coming to you through your hearing sense? Are there sounds? Are you picking up any kind of scenes? What do you see? Do you see colors? Do you see any detail? What do you feel? Do you feel any kind of texture? Do you taste anything? What do you know? What just comes to you in an instant? And what is your first impulse and your first instinct? And I'll give y'all a few seconds. And just focus your energy. And remember, there's no wrong messages.
If you want to be part of this, you can go ahead and in the comments, you can go ahead and put your thought process on what you think she's got there with her, and we will share them. Got some coming in already. Let's see. First of all, hi to Drew with Dudes with Brews on a Porch.
Hi,
Sup,
Drew.
Homies.
Sup, Drew.
This is interesting. Jay says blue smooth stone, dusty pink flower. Okay. Renee says purple crystal, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. This is weird. Tammy says amethyst crystal.
Interesting.
Sandy, what were you feeling?
I felt something that was smooth. I didn't feel roughness. I felt a smoothness around it. And I felt like it was down near Sudie's like knees or legs. It was probably like resting somewhere down there. That's what I was picking up.
Lisa says a green cool river rock.
Lots of rocks and crystals.
These are some great messages y'all are getting.
Katie says seeing white square, 3 lines, also paisley popped up with her.
Interesting.
What I saw, and mine's totally different than anybody else, and I don't know if what I picked up on is exactly it or if it's something like it, but I see like a locket. So it could be a necklace or a locket, or it could be a heart that is near you. EJ says he sees the color purple. By the way, that's a great movie. If you haven't seen the color
really
purple,
good movie.
you got to see the
The
color
book was
purple.
good too.
Yes,
I didn't read the book.
because we don't read. There's no time for it.
Y'all are getting some great messages. Are y'all picking up any of things around it, like people in the scenario or anything?
I didn't. The only additional thing other than seeing this thing was, and this is weird, but you know when you were little and you would put stuff in your mouth like jewelry or a locket or something, and you would get that metallic taste? I got that. So I don't know what the heck that is.
Interesting. Who was it who said something like paisley or...
It was Katie.
My girl Katie.
Katie, because I sort of picked up, I don't know if it was exactly paisley, but I almost picked up like a flower print. I don't know what that could be, but I almost picked up like a flower print. But the paisley kind of sparked my interest because it was kind of similar to that.
All right. I'm the game show host, so what is the object that we're trying to pick up on here this time?
Well, let me ask you, how much time do we have to do like another one? Because
Sure.
Because I wanted to. Okay, I'm going to condense this because I don't know how much time we have, but I know we can do some other ones. The first object, and I had it like sitting here, and I think the pink and the white that was being picked up is my lap pad. Is a, no judgment now, right? A Hello Kitty lap pad, so it's pink. I'm waiting for the comment, Todd. Go ahead.
I love it. I know.
Well, as we say, no judgment.
But this, and I think this might be the neck thing that y'all are trying to see.
Oh.
And I chose this because I was wondering if y'all could pick up like some of the energy from it, because it was given to me by a coworker at a work event. when Aflac was there. And it was when I left that job, it was a very traumatic, horrible work experience. And when I left that job, one of the few things that I took was the duck.
Aww, that's cute.
But what's so interesting is everybody's picking up these rocks. And this is kind of like, I have my tarot cards on one side, but I'd set the book that came with them. And I don't know if y'all can see that, but see, there's like the flowers. And then there's like the pink, which I just realized that's kind of like the moon that we've got tonight. And then I had in a bag to the side. See, this is kind of like how y'all are picking up things. And it may not be the specific thing, but it might be something else. I had this little bag that I had bought a while back. And they are pendants. That's like a little moon. And I haven't put them on a chain yet. And then like the back is kind of like, it almost looks like kind of crushed amethyst. And then this is a smoky quartz, but it kind of looks like it's got a purple tinge to it in a way. And then a little rose quartz star. So I think that was people picking up the stones and the different rocks that were going on.
Yep. How cool is that?
Let's be honest, in general, big buzzer for all of us on that one. We lost.
But you know what? In everything that everybody said, it could just be their own interpretation.
Sure, of course.
I picked something smooth up. Well, the little stuffed animal was very smooth. The tendons were yes. I mean, you know, it may just be their interpretation. I think it's cool that when you're learning, everything is open to interpretation. So I think that's very cool.
Can we do another one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But let me just add too, that is just showing how y'all are really picking it. I don't count that as a buzzer at all. I count that as y'all.
I do.
Thank you, Sudie.
I am the boss, and that was no good.
He's not the boss.
Okay, boss, you're on your own.
I love you. All right. Round 2. Yeah, Katie, you did. You got Katie did really well.
And the lines, because it was down here and it was near, it looked like 3 lines because it was the H and they're white, the letters on my Hello Kitty.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything. Keeping my mouth shut. All right, let's do another one.
So I want y'all to really focus on this one. Just clear your mind and think. Y'all are building those muscles. Y'all tapped in. And y'all did pick up on a lot of things. Y'all were getting some things. So just focus on what this is. What kind of emotions. Sometimes it might be easier to pick up on the emotions around something. Or to focus on people. If you could see it playing like when you're picking up and you're listening to spirit, imagine spirit's playing like a movie reel for you. And on that movie reel, what are you seeing and hearing? What are the characters doing? What are they saying to one another? What are their emotions expressed? Are they happy? Are they sad? And notice how you get those little nudges, those little nuggets or breadcrumbs. And as they're sprinkled along, what's coming up to you?
My problem, I'm so exhausted, I'm nearly falling asleep when I'm doing it.
Don't take a nap.
Oh my gosh, I nearly passed out just there.
Unless you do get visions in your sleep, then you could take a nap.
I know, right?
Okay, if you want to join in and tell us what you think, again, no wrong answers, except if they're wrong, I'm going to tell you. And no, we're going to try and tie in. So go ahead and give us your answers again. What did you pick up on this time? We'll do another round here. And Sandy, let's start with you. What did you pick up on?
I felt almost like a childlike energy. Something that is sort of tied to a happy moment. I think that's what's really in the forefront for me. Something almost like a childlike or a happy energy. You know how kids are kind of bouncy and good vibes. I felt that kind of energy with it. So I would say something with a good memory, that brings a good memory.
Renee said, I keep thinking it's a photo of some kind. It's weird, Sandy, that you said childlike, because what I saw was a blanket, and that directly tied into a blanket that I had as a child, and I could feel the comfort and feel the softness and the warmth of that. So again, maybe it was because I was passing out. I'm so tired, but it made me feel safe and warm, and it was a good childhood memory.
Yeah, like a positive memory.
Jason says he's getting a comforting scent, child burying their face in a white tan knit cashmere sweater.
Along the same lines, just good feelings, good vibes.
EJ, I'm getting people dancing, laughing, and the hairs on the back of my neck tingling.
That's
Spirits
interesting.
coming through loud and clear for EJ then. He's getting that tingling sensation.
I never get the tingling, ever. Like, even if I do meditation, last night there was some folks doing some healing meditation for me, and they're like, okay, you're going to feel the tingling from your feet to your head. That's the direction we're going to go. I didn't feel a thing. So
I get tingling. Now, I won't normally get tingling, but I'll feel it like during investigations. When the energy's coming through, I'll feel it. I'll feel tingling then. It just did over the weekend during an investigation. It happened to me. So, but to just like when I'm cleansing, saging, I don't usually feel any kind of.
Katie says
feeling.
something
So
on the
that's
wall, like a picture with rounded top, memories, also kiddos' shoes. So
Interesting. We have sort of a childlike theme going on here, a comforting, happy theme going on.
yeah.
Interesting.
See, what are we talking about this time, Sudie?
Well, y'all were amazing. This is an envelope, and in it, this is a card from my half-sister. And in it is photos of me as a child with our father that were taken
There we go.
the one time I met him. The only time I've ever seen my father in my life.
Wow.
So there was
gosh.
the photos of the child, and my dress is kind of a beigey color. So we had the colors coming through, and notice I had on like a coat right here too. I don't know if y'all can see it. These are old Polaroids from the 70s. I was about 5 years old when I met him, so this had to be like 77, 78 maybe.
Wow.
So these are really old pictures. So that was incredible, the way y'all were picking up photo. Renee nailed it with a photo. Happy memories. There was child. And I'm sure there was probably, and see my shoes. See, I've got on little boots. I've always either.
Of course.
Aw, how cute.
She was even fashionable at 5.
But that's amazing. Great job as a whole, as a group. We really
Yeah, we may not
nailed
be able
that
to pull anything off one-on-one or by ourselves, but if we get us all together, we can kind of get around the,
Let's meet weekly, and
we'll solve the world's problems.
we'll solve, world hunger. We've got this. But that's pretty amazing. That seriously, that's very amazing.
How did everybody feel?
Wow.
What was, when y'all were getting those messages, how did they come to you? That's one of the most important things for y'all to kind of learn and grow on, like to broaden and build on that.
For me, I always get messages. It's just sort of a knowing. They just are there. They're just in my head. It's almost like I understand a situation or what is happening. That it just is like, boom, a name will come to me, a situation. And of course, for me, it's in coordination with feeling the emotions and the energy that I get. But that's pretty amazing. So, Jason says, instant picture, scent, and feeling. Yeah? So, yep.
So I wonder, did it help more to kind of think of it in terms of like seeing it as a movie playing out and what you were getting? Did that help y'all more? Because sometimes it's a matter of how we approach something.
Renee says it's more like something yelling at her.
That's awesome, and it can be scary too when you just hear something yelling. But that's amazing that you leaned into it.
For me, it's always like a first person experience. So I was the child grabbing the blanket and holding it close. And, and again, it could be because I'm tired. And my mom left the blankie one time so that I would never have it again. She left it at a friend's house and I never saw my blankie again.
I remember that story.
Aww.
Did I tell you that story?
Yes, I remember that story.
It was horrendous.
That's sad.
Yeah.
For me, it just comes to me. It's funny. It's almost like sometimes you learn how to turn it off and on. If I'm in the middle of a situation like an investigation, it's like right on. It'll just come to me. Or beforehand, Todd and I talk about it all the time. Before I'm about to do an investigation, a few days before, I'll start to get the vibes and I'll start to get things coming into my head. It just happened to me last week too. So interesting how it's different for everybody. Spirit comes to them in a little bit different way. Very interesting. And one point too, Sudie, I'm interested to see if you agree with me that a lot of times, because we all have that ability to some extent, a lot of times things will come to us and we're so used to saying, oh, it's nothing, or ignoring it completely. And really a good way to start to develop it is to start telling yourself, I'm not crazy, I'm not imagining something, and listen to yourself. Really dig deep and listen to what comes to mind, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, and don't just automatically cast it off as being nothing or a good imagination. Really listen to yourself and trust what you're hearing, seeing, feeling, tasting, smelling.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move into our last little bit of what we're going to talk about tonight. That's the full moon release.
Yes. And this is when I have it on a graphic and I will share it. I don't know. Is everybody in the group, our Weirdos group, is everyone that's viewing tonight in there so that way they'll have access to it?
I hope so. And if you're not one of a member of our group, the Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, make sure you find our group and get yourself in there because we have a ton of fun. So if you are listening, you're not part of the group, please join us. We'd love to have you.
Well, this is our release. And since it's a fire sign moon for us tonight, I always like to do things with fire, to release with fire, and plus I like fire, so I like to burn stuff. So I just want y'all to focus on like what it is you're wanting to release with this moon, and you can write it down. You can write it down later, and then like I said, the release will be in there. But sometimes just visualizing the things being released, so that way y'all can go manifest and work on those things that y'all are wanting to draw into your life. But this is going to be another guided kind of meditation where we'll just close our eyes and I want you to just kind of let your whole body go soft, to where it's like you're just releasing all that tension from your head down your neck, down your shoulders, your jaws, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, down your legs into your feet. So that way you can just be soft and you're not holding a grip on anything anymore. You're just going to let it all go. And then after you've just relaxed your whole body and just taken that moment, think about all the things that you want to release, that you don't want to carry with you anymore. See them, name them. And if you want to visualize them in a bubble that they can float away for the time being until you can write them down to burn them. And then just repeat after me in your mind so that way you can release it on your own. I release all that no longer serves me. I forgive all who have hurt me, including myself. I am releasing feelings of unworthiness, as I know I am worthy of love, abundance, and every good thing the universe holds. I release this all now to create space for something wonderful to begin. As it is, so shall it be. But then you can write it down later if you want to burn it symbolically.
Fire.
Fire. Fire.
I swear, if I could have superpowers, it would be shooting fire from my hands, and I'd just burn stuff down and start people on fire and stuff like that.
My therapist told me instead of getting angry and holding all my anger inside, I needed to visualize a fireball. That was the biggest mistake, because she said it was like I was holding onto a fireball, and I was like, do I get to throw it at somebody?
I have a list. I have a whole list of fireball throwing people.
I have a list too, Sandy. It kind of scares me how similar we are.
I know.
Poor Todd.
Don't forget, you can find Sudie on her Facebook page, Eclectic Path Wellness. So it's facebook.com/Eclectic Path Wellness. You can search for that as well. And people can reach out to you if they'd like to maybe be involved with some exercise techniques or need some guidance in life. They can certainly reach out to you for that, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? I would even be open to us doing some, like, if we wanted to make that just like an exclusive Sandy and Toddcast thing. If they were interested.
That would be so cool. Maybe within our group we could do some fun things. Just within our group, I think that would be very, very cool.
Yes. I loved being here. Thank y'all all so much, and for everybody for your energy, and just thank y'all. Y'all are amazing.
Thanks, Sudie.
I have known her since about 2006. I think that's when I first met her. So I've known her a long time. She's always been woo-woo.
Yeah.
And what I like about her is she's not somebody who proclaims to be a tarot card reader or anything like that. But she's got some gifts, and I think one of her gifts is she can connect with people. And when she was taking us through that workshop, that exercise, is really, really cool. So I hope if you were listening to it, I hope you actually took time to. And if you didn't, if you were driving or whatever, you couldn't do it at that point, come back to it, listen to it another time, and actually go through the workshop. Although now you actually know what she had, so it, kind of cheats the purpose. But
I know. But there's ways, but you can do it at home. Get your significant other, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, get them to do it with you and use those techniques. And I promise you, if you do it for a while, you will start to really see a difference, because I mean, Sudie's just amazing. Sudie's one of those people, she's, like you said, doesn't claim to be a tarot reader or anything. She's just intuitive, and she's a connector. She connects with people, and that's so cool.
She's very smart. She understands people, and a great writer too. So that's going to wrap up the Sandy and Toddcast again this week. We got another audio cast for you next week. Keep tuned in on our Facebook page and our group, because we always let you know when we've got live casts coming up. We've got a Woo Woo Wednesday coming up. The next week, we're going to do a cemetery walk with you, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that was great.
Later on this month, Aaron Meza, who at one point, I'll just say we knew as Zeke Harris, will be on the program too, and he'll be on to do a little card reading with us, and hopefully do another seminar like he did the last time about magic.
They were so excited that they actually reached out to you and said, when can I come on your show again? So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun.
I can't wait.
All right.
Love them.
Make sure and follow us, like us, let other people know about us as much as you can, and listen and listen and listen and listen and watch and watch and watch and watch. And one day...
And review and review and review and review.
One day we'll be rich, and then we'll say, screw them all. All right.
Screw you, Todd.
Have a good one.
Right.
See ya.
Bye.
How many more miles left in this race? How long it takes, I don't know. In the end, it ain't